What's going on, golf addicts? DB here with two sleepers, DFS sleepers you should consider using for the John Deere Classic on DraftKings this week. I've only got two. I tried to get a third one, but ownership stuff kind of being pretty diluted right now and spread out amongst this very weak field. It was hard to really find the third one that I felt comfortable with. Maybe hit me up in the Nut Hut later on Wednesday night or something, and maybe I'll have a third one for you. Okay, let's get into the first one. The first one is at $8,100, and it is CT Pan. I'm going to show you a couple things from CT Pan's Fantasy National screen. He's in that range where, like, a lot of people are going to gravitate towards JT Poston. Uh, Shockingly, Chez Reavie's ownership early on a Tuesday is projected to be much higher than I thought. He was going to be one of my sleepers I was looking at, but then I saw ownership at Chez around 13, 14%. Poston's up there as well. And then I think a lot of people are just going to go ahead and spend up for names like Nick Hardy or Patrick Rogers. And CT Pan kind of going to be lost in the shuffle. And I think the reason why is possibly because, the last week at the Travelers, it wasn't very good for CT. His record here is a 34th place finish and a missed cut. So nothing to be real excited about. But let's open up the Fantasy National screen and show you a couple things that I think make CT Pan somewhat intriguing. All right, let's take a look at his strokes gain screen on Fantasy National. As you can see, kind of not short by any means, but a good total driver of the golf ball. And I think that's important. You have wider than average fairways here at the John Deere, but very penal rough. So, or it's just harder to hit these small 5,500 square foot green surfaces and control your spin and be able to make a bunch of birdies if you're hitting out from the rough. So here's what CT Pan's looking at. I also want to stop here because we're on bent grass surfaces, which he's not a great putter by any means, but at least it's not Bermuda, right? Okay, so it's one of his better putting surfaces. Tends to gain strokes in easier average conditions on the PGA Tour, which we're going to face probably easier conditions here this week. And so if you look at what happened, I mean, he had a horrible, an outlier day. Really, maybe yeah, like outlier 2 days at the Travelers Championship. I went back and looked at it. He lost like 3.5 strokes, or it was like more than three. It was like almost 4 strokes with approach in round one, and then he cut that in half in round two. He only lost like 1.5, which, like I said, isn't great. Obviously, missed the cut, but still gained strokes in the other key categories, which is decent, even though it wasn't tremendous. But I look at this as an outlier event for CT Pan. But look at the consistency in the ball striking off the tee and approach play in the weeks prior. Now, the only finishes to really be excited about would be the 15th at the Wells Fargo at a course like TPC Potomac at Avenel Farm that I think rewards like this one precision, good short iron play, wedge play into small greens. Obviously, earlier in the year, 16th at the Honda, ninth at the Genesis, both really strong fields, good golf courses. I think CT Pan, historically being an accurate driver of the golf ball and a decent when it comes to scoring. Like if you look at his distance and accuracy metrics here on Fantasy National, you can see like 111 club head speed. So it's not terrible. It's not Chez Reavie territory, which is like 106. He can hear his ball land in the fairway. Very accurate guy. CT Pan has been lately. A lot of fairways gained, a lot of good drives gained. Doesn't miss it by much. Again, I just think the Travelers is really an outlier. If we go back and look, let's see. Let's see, when did he have another really terrible strokes gained approach week? Well, he had one at the Farmers earlier this year, and then he came back and he didn't gain strokes, but he didn't like continue the horrible play. If we keep scrolling, like it's hard to find those really bad iron weeks for him. Here it is again at the Players back in 2019, and he made it better by like 60%. So I think CT Pan at 8,100 is a guy who could give you some upside. This is a player that's won on the PGA Tour, won the RBC Heritage back in 2019. Third place finish at the Honda about a year ago. Like the guy has upside, so I think CT Pan is one to consider. They're at 8,100, around projected probably around 6 to 7%. So if you're rolling out some GPP plays, give them a look. All right, before I get to my last play, I do want to ask you, DraftKings has opened up live golf content, okay, and contests. Sorry. So it looks like they're going to play showdown contest for the three round everybody shotgun start competition, right? It's going to be showdown scoring, really going to reward birdie making, eagle, stuff like that. And it's going to be interesting. No finish position points awarded, different showdown contests each day. So nothing for the 3-day tournament. My question to you is, will you play in those contests? Will you be interested in playing in those contests on DraftKings? Drop us a comment, yes or no, maybe a why or why not. That would be really interesting research for us to have that, and it would help. It would help the algorithm for the video. And give it a thumbs up if you have not, and subscribe to the video if you've also not done that. All right, the last guy I'm going to give you. Listen, I'm excited about this one. Okay. He's projected right there with CT Pan around 6 to 7%. Maybe he gets a little up there, a little higher, maybe pushes 10% by the time lineups lock on Thursday. But I think even if he's up there, I don't know that people will actually click the name. But Steve Stricker, Mr. John Deere himself, former winner at this golf tournament, has an amazing track record here. Steve Stricker at 7,400, 7%. This guy just finished runner up to Padraig Harrington at the U.S. Senior Open Championship just this past week. Padraig won by a handful of shots, and even Stricker finished 9 under. I think he was 5 shots clear of third place, like just playing very, very well. He's fourth in the Schwab Cup, which is the Senior Tour's FedEx Cup equivalent. So he's had a great season. Right now, he's hitting 72% of his fairways and 77% of his greens in regulation there on the Senior Tour, hitting it, averaging around 283 yards off the tee. Now, that's really good, but you're like, well, David, that's the Senior Tour. Yes, but is last year on the PGA Tour, 2020 and 2021, he was still no slouch, okay? In that season, he played in 11 events. He made 7 of his 11 cuts with 3 top 20s, including a T4 at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. I mean, Old Man Stricker, definitely worth a look, I think. And if you look at his John Deere record, I mean, it's very extensive, but just in recent years, he hasn't missed a cut. I mean, Fantasy National only shows back to 2012, which he's never missed a cut since 2012. And in that time, he has a fifth in 2012, 10th in 2013, 11th in 14, fifth in 2017. I mean, Stricker knows this place like the back of his hand. He went to college at University of Illinois. He's a Wisconsin boy, but has plenty of familiarity with TPC Deere Run. He is Mr. John Deere, and at 7,400, I truly think Strick probably doesn't give you winning upside, but I think top 10 upside for sure at 7,400, around 5 to 6, 7% owned. I think it's worth a look, but we'll see if Stricker catches some steam in the next day and a half here. That's it for me. That's the sleepers. Give me a like, a subscribe, and again, comment. Will you play Live Golf Showdown events on DraftKings? I would appreciate knowing why or why not as well. But drop the comment and let's have a week. May your screens be green. See ya.